first end.
And it was Team Saskatchewan with last rock advantage in the first end. They covered the pin. Both Kelly Schaefer and Shaun Meachem covered the pin with their draws. So great start for Saskatchewan. We'll run down the lineups very quickly. It is Team Saskatchewan. The lead is TJ Heikert. The second is Chris Heikert. The third, vice skip, Kelly Schaefer. And the skip is Shaun Meachem. They are from the Swift Curling Club. Team Nova Scotia, former Canadian champion, former Canadian mixed champion Paul Flemming is the skip. The vice skip at third, Marley Powers. The second, Luke Saunders. And the lead, stop me if you've heard this name before, Colleen Jones, chasing her third Canadian mixed championship, doing it in a city she's won a Canadian mixed championship in previously, and doing it with her son, Luke Saunders, playing second. So that's quite a story, that Nova Scotia team, Jeff.
Absolutely, it's a veteran team at the skip, and then you've got a fairly new up and comer curler, Marley, and then you the mother and son duo. That's fantastic, and these players have played each other before. They've played each other in previous mixed competitions, so they know what to expect from one another. So it should be a great shootout.
And ice conditions look very promising here as well. Jeff, you were saying that you threw on this ice Thursday night with the rocks that had just been sandpapered in preparation for championship conditions, and you liked what you saw Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely. The ice installation came through just amazing this year. We had a few games on them, and the ice was running super, super fast, not a lot of curl. And so just on Thursday, they papered the rocks and lots more action. So you're going to see a lot of late finish, especially later into the game where the ice gets worn in a little bit. It's going to be very fast and lots of great finish. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity to make some great shots.
Jason Broughton here at the Swift Current Curling Club is the chief ice technician for this event, and got a great crew working with him, and it looks like this ice is in fabulous condition. Don't think there's too many shots that will be off the table, but nice to see rocks in play in this first end.
No, absolutely. Normally we see the typical throw it in and just hit, and just try to get your bearings and go for a blank end typically, but they've decided to go right at it, and now it looks like there's multiple rocks in play.
Two veteran skips. You knew they were going to try and mix it up right off the bat. Talking with Paul Flemming, his team did not arrive here in Swift Current until 8:30 last night after the cross-country flight from Halifax, and they had first practice this morning. So they were right into it, but Paul, being the veteran that he is, he's not going to sit around and wait for things to happen.
No, absolutely. They've got used to traveling, and it is very tough in Canada with the time change and everything else switching over. But they've learned to adapt over the time, and yeah, they'll be ready to go full throttle.
So we're off to Skips Rocks here. Paul Flemming looking at two. Saskatchewan has that deuce set up. And we'll see if they can finish it off. Paul has won Canadian Mixed Championships in the past. Also a former Brier runner-up in 2005 in Edmonton, of course, losing to Randy Furby. But Paul won in 1999 at Victoria, and then won again in 2003 in Abbotsford. And that 1999 team that won in Victoria, Colleen Jones was his vice skip. So
yes, he has lots of experience on the curling ice, so not too much will rattle him. One of the neat things I learned about him is he said if he had a superpower that he'd want to be able to curl till he's 80, and I thought that was pretty awesome. You can see the love that he has when you make an answer like that.
yeah, it takes a lot to keep him off a sheet of curling ice. Had funny memories. I was talking to him about last year's Canadian Mixed in Prince Albert, and his clothing did not arrive in Prince Albert for quite a few days. So he was battling a few things there, not the least of which was a limited wardrobe. And talking to him, they got off the plane in Regina last night, and his luggage was the last one down the chute, and he was thinking, oh no, not again. But the luggage is here safe and sound, so good news for all Paul Flemming fans. He's got enough underwear for the week. He's good to go. So Shaun Meachem now playing the open hit. TJ's working hard on this
TJ
to
jumped
keep
on
it
this a
straight.
little early, so yeah, must have pinched out a little bit coming out. She jumped it pretty quick. they'll definitely want to be sticking around here. It was a big opportunity to take a deuce, so that we'll have to sharpen it up a little bit there for sure.
Well, and that's something too, Shaun. They had 8 minutes on this sheet during practice today, and they'll still be getting used to the ice conditions because this will be different than what they face normally here at the Swift Current Curling Club. Same rocks,
Yeah.
though. These are the club rocks. And Jeff, you were saying the yellow on this particular sheet does have a pretty good history.
It does. We've hosted some big events here in Swift Current, and for some reason those yellow rocks come out ahead on this sheet, and it's not because of poor rocks on the Reds by any means. No teams complain about them. It's just one of those neat stats that hangs around, and just not sure why.
Colleen trying to get this to move a little bit. They'd love to hold this shooter, and very nice. Did it stay in?
Oh, if that stayed in, that is a terrific curling shot.
Oh, holy moly!
That is. It's
How
really hard
true
to
are
tell
these
from our
rings,
overhead.
Jeff?
Yeah, no, they are very true. We've tested them out, and it's hard to see with their overhead, but that's definitely looking like it's going to be in, so he has to play it, and that's a magnificent shot because he can only see half a rock there.
So this is an early test for Shaun Meachem. It was looking like a sure deuce 2 minutes ago, and now he's going to have to work hard to get this blank.
Absolutely. It was looking like an easy deuce, and now he's got some work to do. They like it out of his hands. Nope. It's going to be a wide. So that is a pretty wild first end that the troops will have to regain some composure after that one.
So it is a steal of 1 for Nova Scotia. We'll be back for second end action right after this.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
The Men of Curling calendar is more than a date provider. Each edition is packed with beautiful images and tons of curling information too. Support curlers and charity by buying yours today at curlingcares.com.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club. It is second end action here in this draw 1 game between Nova Scotia's team Paul Flemming and Saskatchewan's team Shaun Meachem, the home team from right here in Swift Current. And Jeff, it was a big steal of 1 for Nova Scotia, put together by just a wonderful hit and roll by Paul Flemming.
Absolutely. It was the end was set up perfect to take out a deuce there for Team Saskatchewan, but Shaun was a little tight on his first one, and then Paul just came up with one of the best hit and rolls under the circumstances you could ever have, just have a biter and forced Shaun to throw out wide where they wouldn't be practicing very much, so they wouldn't have known the ice at that point, and it got them the steal. So just an absolute grinding steal there, but well done.
So this Saskatchewan team, you've coached them in the past, but a little bit of a storyline this year is that Shaun Meachem wasn't going to be playing, and in fact, it was Colton Flash that skipped this team to victory at the Saskatchewan Mixed Championship. And then Colton, now playing with his men's team that's skipped by Mike McEwen, is chasing points, looking to up their standing on the Canadian team ranking system. So the call was put out to a familiar face to get Shaun back on the ice.
Absolutely. It was a lot of back and forth when it formed in the first place. This team was together and won the last couple times in the province. And when it came to playdowns last year, it worked out that Shaun Meachem couldn't play. So Colton Flash kind of took his place on that. They ended up going on to win. And then it came full circle, and Colton Flash wasn't able to play in this, and Shaun Meachem was back in.
And that makes it nice and easy because Shaun obviously knows all these throws, knows where to broom them. So it was a nice, easy transition for him to come back to this team. And always a very solid team. This team's been together playing mixed for quite a few years now. And as noted, I believe you coached them 3 years ago in Quebec.
Yeah, it's at the Quebec event, and there we played against the one game that I really remember was against Nova Scotia, and Luke and Colleen were on that team. And a little quick story while Chris is throwing down here, but there was a time change that happens at these events, and luckily in Saskatchewan nobody has to worry about that because the time always stays the same here. But out there was an hour time change, and the team didn't realize that, so they were late getting to the rink. Our team had already done their practice, did their throw. It was their practice time, and the clock was ticking. And then Colleen Jones came running through the building, ran to the ice, put her shoes on, stepped up, and just in time to throw the last rock, and she threw it right on the pin to win the hammer. So we all looked at one another going, wow, I don't think I will ever see that again. That was a pretty wild moment.
Breaking news, Colleen Jones, really, really good at curling.
Really, really good. That was an eye opener for me for sure. I thought I'd seen it all, but that blew me away.
And as you might expect, there's a lot of material on Colleen Jones. But one really cool fact is that in 1993, she and her husband, Scott, played here and won the Canadian Mixed Championship right here in Swift Current. And she happened to be pregnant at the time with her current teammate, Luke Saunders. So lots of connections to Swift Current for Colleen Jones and Luke Saunders, although he didn't know it at the time.
Well, I think you're definitely going to win on stat of the week right there on that one alone there, Al. That's pretty impressive.
Young week, Jeff. It's a young week. We got lots of time. I got lots in the hopper.
Oh, that's impressed me.
Trying to get that double. It's going to hang on, so it's still going to be Nova Scotia sitting shot. But Saskatchewan sitting second shot, and I suspect Paul's not going to let that situation last too much longer,
no. No, he'd like to, even though it's a kind of a trouble rock over there, and they are shot, they want to get rid of that. And if they can be sitting 3 in the house, which is pretty open, they'll feel pretty confident here with the force.
Marley Powers now throwing. She is Luke Saunders' fiancée. Luke going to work to keep that rock straight. Like to hold that in the rings. That is going to be scrubbed out by Shaun Meachem. So see, they are going to go right behind that corner guard and ignore the 2 counting stones.
Yeah, with the late finish, once they figure out where to put that broom, since it is early on in the ends and they're still getting a feel for the ice in the finish, if they can figure out, they've already had a crack at it, so they'll be pretty confident on getting the right ice and getting one buried in there to try to produce a miss.
Kelly Schaefer now, 3-time Olympian representing Great Britain. In fact, her first trip to a world championship representing Scotland was in 2004, where Colleen Jones is playing. 2004 at Gävle, Sweden. Kelly was the alternate on that team. So they are shot, but it is open. Marley Powers will take it on. Marlee, by the way, is a talented volleyball player. She member of the Dalhousie Tigers in U Sports for 5 years and won 2 AUS titles, played in 2 Canadian University Championships as well.
Yes, her and Luke make up a multi-sport couple, that's for sure. Luke is very much into tennis and a competitive player, and now a tennis pro instructor. So
he is indeed at the Wagawoltic Club in Halifax. Played NCAA tennis for the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, 4-year scholarship. And in fact, he was playing at Tennessee Chattanooga when he represented Nova Scotia in the 2013 Canadian Junior Championships at Fort McMurray. So he was a 2-sport man at that time. So Kelly Schaefer now trying to see if they can get that to finish, but
yeah, Kelly had a little bit of trouble on those releases. Very positive, and didn't get the curl on her 2 rocks that they drastically needed there. So either they're a little off on the ice reading, or she's just a little too positive for them, and it's just not getting that finish yet.
Saw her make a hand motion to Shaun as she was coming down, almost like she popped it on the release a little bit. Meaning, maybe for some viewers, what would you mean by popping it?
It's just a really positive release. So when she's coming out, especially these players train and prepare for a lot of arena ice, which has big swings compared to normal ice conditions. So what they do is have a very positive or almost a popping motion where they kind of send it right when they let it go, almost purposely wide. And on ice conditions like this, it's just not going to come back in time.
And understand people too, and not bad ice conditions, just different. Clubs are different than arena ice, as we were told over and over again during the Pan-Continental Championships in Kelowna just recently concluded.
No, absolutely. And like I said, the ice conditions here, this is the first game, and they've had limited practice times on them. But as the week goes on, we'll be hearing around the club the amount of compliments that the players will have on the ice conditions. They are going to be a lot better than maybe some of the past championships that they've been on. So I definitely they'll notice the difference. And yeah, it's just great ice conditions here, and they just got to figure out where to put the broom until they get onto it.
So it's Nova Scotia currently sitting 3. And Shaun Meachem discussing strategy with Kelly Schaefer. It looks like they're going to take on a hit and roll attempt.
Yeah, they got a couple options with this one. It's with the ice he's taking, he's not a lot of ice at all, so he must be bringing the weight down. And because they have 2 options, they can roll in front of the red rock there or all the way over to the yellow. So he has a couple options on the roll, so he'll see if he can control his weight and keep this in play. Looks like the weight's up a little bit from what they wanted by Chris, so it's probably not going to get the curl they were looking for.
Gonna have to watch a jam here too. No, it'll get through. Not bad.
Have to make a play on it, but yeah, just he picked up his weight a little bit more than what they were thinking on that one, and just ran a little straighter.
It's pretty simple here for Paul. Just make that go away. Nose hit, I think, would probably be great here.
Yeah, he won't be trying to do anything fancy with this one. He'll be looking for a straight nose and force Shaun to make the hit and stick.
And I don't even know if the hit and stick gets him shot, though. I think nose makes Shaun have to draw based on that rock at the back of the house. So we'll see.
Definitely not the scenario you want to be doing, is trying to draw against 4 right off in the second end, but Shaun will pull it off. Looks like they're going to roll just a little bit with this one. So now they'll have to make the decision and most likely draw it to the button.
This is the shot, exactly the shot he threw in the pregame draw. The out turn. Well, I try not to use those words, Jeff. The coaches always tell me counterclockwise and clockwise, so I got to get into that habit. So this is a counterclockwise draw to the 4 foot, and he threw this and covered the pin in the pregame draw, so shouldn't be an issue for Shaun Meachem.
Very important to get your composure right before you throw these. The adrenaline's pumping and you see a lot of rocks and it's easy to throw it too heavy. So looks like he's controlled his weight. The sweepers are walking it in, and that's always a good sign.
And there it is. It is a draw to bite the button for Shaun Meachem, and it is a single point for Saskatchewan. We are all tied up through 2 ends. It will be Nova Scotia with the hammer when we come back after this.
I've been raised on the farm since day one, so I was born into it. My grandfather came in here in 1905. I want to continue the farm for him and generations to come. So
I think it's a privilege that we get to be here. It's just a wonderful way of life.
What job is there that you can go to work with your dad and brother, with your kids by your side? Doesn't get much better than that.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club. It is third end action of this draw one game between Nova Scotia and Saskatchewan. And it is a 1-1 game. Nova Scotia stealing its point in the first end. Saskatchewan, Shaun Meachem having to make a draw. Looking at a bunch of Nova Scotia stones to tie it up. So tie game, and it will be Nova Scotia with last rock here in this third end for the first time for this Nova Scotia team. And this is TJ Heikert looking to remove that Nova Scotia stone. Should mention too, Jeff, boy, this Saskatchewan team, Kelly, TJ, and Chris have been very busy these last few weeks and months helping prepare for this event.
Oh, absolutely. It's taken a good community to prepare for this event. It's a big one for Swift Current, and with Chris being our general manager here, and he's making events happen. He's so passionate, and he's the reason why curling is excelling here in Swift Current, where it can be hurting in a lot of different areas. But Chris's hard work is pretty amazing, and obviously it takes usually the wife is a big part of it, and TJ's always here. TJ's always helping out, and it's been a lot of work for this crew. So they are the host team, but they have not got to relax like a typical team would. They've been putting in more hours than anybody for the work part too.
Yeah, I was down here at the club yesterday, and it was obviously no curlers here. Practice took place this morning, but TJ and Chris and Kelly were all down here getting things ship shape, both back of house and on the ice. And I had to give Chris a little bit of a jab because he was taking totally the high road. I'm thinking if I were in his position, I'd still be out there throwing. But no, he very much about the respect for the event, and he was not throwing rocks. He was just getting everything ready. And boy, it looks great in here right now.
No, absolutely. It's they're very passionate about it, and he loves to host events, and he obviously loves playing events too. So it goes hand in hand. But it was a big task, and Kelly as well. She took over a lot of the organization for this event and the opening ceremonies. I'll be emceeing it later this afternoon, and she put all the work in, so it made my job really easy. And I don't think people realize how much time these three individuals put into this club behind the scenes. It's pretty impressive. And then they got to turn it right around and go out and put it all out on the ice there. It's just amazing.
Chris Heichert now is going to try and get around that center guard. There you get a sense of the movement. It is finishing very, very nice.
Absolutely. There's a great shot there. Slid a little deeper than he wanted, but still a great shot and something that Paul will have to deal with. So.
But Jeff, that looked like a pretty good illustration when we talk about the difference between arena ice and club ice. You'll probably see that arena ice would break a lot later than club ice as a rule.
Absolutely. The arena ice is, as a general rule, especially with the rocks that travel with the events, they notice that you're probably middle of the 12, even you can go edge to 12, and the curling teams with their sweeping techniques can get that rock all the way to the button. And in typical curling clubs, you'll see it, especially in small towns actually, you'll even see it at the edge of the 4-foot to get it to the button, or maybe middle of the 8. Here we're seeing at least to the edge of the 8, maybe even into the middle of the 12. So there is some good finish, and like I said, it'll lead to some great shot making once they get used to it. And we'll see how close they are now. They're almost to the edge of the 12 here with this out turn.
That was a great sweep there by Marley Powers and Colleen Jones just to get that to biting, but big opportunity here for Kelly Schaefer. Throwing counterclockwise rotation for in turn as a left-hander.
This is the one that she had trouble getting to curl last time, but looks like they're really working this. They're working on the angle sweep here. If this gets there, it's going to be one heck of a good shot. Fantastic.
That is officially in jail. Wonderful sweeping, wonderful throw. That's a good team shot right there.
And now Paul's at least a couple shots away from even being able to have a crack at those ones just because of the staggered guards. So he's going to try to angle, run, and clear out that whole front and hopefully get lucky. Maybe they can send that red back into the yellows if they get enough angle on it. Blue card on the sweep right off the bat. Trying to hold it out there. Fantastic shot here.
Wonderful shot, Marley Powers. Wow.
That's the way to turn around a bad situation.
The Saskatchewan team played at last year's Canadian Mixed Championship in Prince Albert. And I can tell you that the weather that greeted us here this week compared to last year in Prince Albert, a marked difference. We were pulling cars out of snowdrifts this time last year in Prince Albert. So special thanks to the city of Swift Current for arranging the great weather. But this team finished with a 6-4 record last year in Prince Albert, just missed the playoffs. So I'm sure they'll be looking to take that next step and get into that playoff picture for the end of the week.
Absolutely. There's just so many good teams in this national mix. And so many teams getting together and players getting together, and they enjoy this format, and just so many great shot makers out there.
Plus a pretty nice carrot dangling off the stick at the end is a trip to Aberdeen, Scotland for the 2024 World Mixed Championship. Of course, one of the storylines here this week is Quebec trying to win a 4th consecutive Canadian Mixed Championship, which is a story in and of itself. But what would make it even more remarkable is that the last 3 Canadian championships have been won by completely different Quebec teams. So 3 championships, 12 different players, and the 4 players that are here now, skipped by Pierre-Luc Morissette, this is 4 different players again. So that would make history. It's never been done in Canadian curling that a province or a territory has won 4 consecutive Canadian championships with 4 distinctly different teams.
Yes, it's a pretty amazing stat, and you can tell that in Quebec they just have a strong will to put on team events. They work so well as a team, and they're so closely knit, and it shows that they bring the best out of one another. So it's fantastic.
Little jam there from Shaun Meachem, and that lets Nova Scotia off the hook.
Shaun might be thinking a little bit too hard about trying to make those shots just perfect, and he's going to have to settle in and just start throwing the rock a little more freely, I think, and loosen up just a little bit. I think he's trying a little bit too hard. Uncharacteristic misses for him.
So Paul Flemming will settle into the hack and look to make the hit and sit 2 and get a force. Or sit 2 and set up the potential deuce here, which would be a big step for Nova Scotia.
It'd be pretty hard for him to hide this in a spot that doesn't tease Meach into throwing some up weight to create a double scenario.
The slash looks like the play here, I think.
He definitely will be giving this a run. Oh. Kelly wants him to sit in front, but that's not a Meachem shot. This is his bread and butter right here. This is what he gets up for right here. Didn't take him too long to talk Kelly into it.
Shaun was a member of the Steve Laycock team that lost the Saskatchewan men's final last year to Kelly Knapp. That team is playing again together this year. Looking to take a run to be the home province team for the Montana's Brier in March in Regina. Rock is underway. Just barely makes contact, so it will be. The assignment is simple: touch paint and put 2 on the scoreboard for Paul Flemming.
Yeah, that was an example of he just held on to that release. I know his release better than anybody, and he just came out there and his hand went underneath longer and it pulled the rock over, and he threw that a little wide. So again, I think he's just trying a little too hard, and once he settles in and just starts throwing the rock, things will start going his way.
Mentioned Saskatchewan was at last year's Canadian Mixed. Paul Flemming was skipping Nova Scotia at last year's Canadian Mixed as well, but just 2 different teammates. Marie Christensen and Scott Zachary were on that team. Marley Powers was playing lead, and they finished out of the playoffs as well. So it is draw for 2 here for Paul Flemming. It looks like it's money in the bank.
Right in. Great shot.
There it is. So it is a deuce for Nova Scotia. They will take a 3-1 lead. Saskatchewan will have hammer in the 4th end when we come back after this.
We're for agriculture, for growers, doers, whatever it takers. We're for doing things with purpose. We're for the little guy with big guy dreams. We're for agriculture. We're for you. Nutrien Ag Solutions. leading the field. This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
The Men of Curling calendar is back for 2024. 18 curling athletes from 4 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club. We're heading into the fourth end of this Draw 1 encounter between Saskatchewan's Team Shaun Meachem from right here in Swift Current and Nova Scotia champions Team Paul Flemming from Halifax, and it is Nova Scotia with a 3-1 lead. Saskatchewan will have the hammer. I'm Al Cameron from Curling Canada, joined today by Jeff Chambers as we enjoy opening day action at the Swift Current Curling Club. We'll give you a quick rundown of the other scores. 4 sheets in action this afternoon here at Swift Current Curling Club. On sheet B, it is Quebec, Team Pierre-Luc Morissette. They are taking on Team Terry Miller of the Yukon. And it is a tie game through 3 ends. The Yukon just stole 1, so it is a 3-3 game starting the 4th end. Team Northwest Territories, a familiar face, Jamie Cooey, back again, looking to finally get through and win that elusive gold medal. He's come close in the past, but he is down. His team from Yellowknife trailing Team Nunavut in the Battle of the North. Peter Van Streen of Iqaluit. They are leading 2-1. They are playing in the 3rd end on sheet C. And on sheet D, it is an all-Western affair. It is Team BC. That is Team Cameron DeYoung from Victoria. They are currently leading Team Alberta 2-1. It is Team Evan Van Amsterdam from Edmonton. So it is a 2-1 lead for British Columbia as we start into the 4th end. A reminder that you can get all the scores all the time on curling.ca/scoreboard. All the scores all the time, curling.ca/scoreboard. And of course, you are able to watch live streaming of all those sheets here on Curling Canada Plus in conjunction with our friends at Curling Stadium. All 4 sheets being streamed live here at the Canadian Mixed Curling Championship this year. So special thanks to our friends at Curling Stadium for making that happen this year. And we are on sheet A, and it is Nova Scotia in control early of this end, Jeff.
Yes, we're going to see a lot of rocks in play. Meachem has ignored those 2 perfect stones that that Colleen Jones threw, and they decided to go with the corners, and TJ threw a couple nice great corner guard and then threw one in behind. So they're going to try to generate a multi-point end here for sure, and we're going to see a lot of rocks into play. It's going to be fun.
Luke Saunders, I believe he was asked to throw the guard here.
Thought this one started quite wide, so he's going to need some really good finish at the end. Just going to watch this one come to rest. Boy, they could have gone into a plan B there pretty easily and put that. They could have welded 2 in behind cover there. So
thought the Russ Howard audible was going to be called there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why they decided just to watch that and make for a kind of a routine double here. So interesting because I know when I play, it's you're always looking for plan Bs. A little miss there by Chris too, so didn't make things look too much better, but that yellow is definitely hidden in there as second shot, so just got to contend with that shot rock now.
Those 2 yellows, the guards look to be raisable as well. They're not snookered. not hooked at all. So I think that's something that has to be thought about by Paul Flemming here.
Yeah, he's looking at the angles right now and how they would run in, and if he can actually move those rocks safely right now. So
He's asking
definitely
Luke.
A different situation.
He's asking Luke to come down and have a look.
They know the dangers of having your opponents having second shot, because that's how you get those multiple ends. So it's not just most people would just look and say, well, we're on the button, why wouldn't we just keep guarding that? But they're looking far more in advance. Instead of just trying to guard that one rock, they're trying to make sure that they can make it a little easier so that they can avoid a multi-point end against them.
And even the double peel there is no gimme, because there's a couple, the rock that's closest to the center line looks like it could end up jamming on one of those red rocks in the rings too.
Well, that's definitely why Paul wanted another set of eyes to come down and look at it, because you're right. There's almost, well, it'd be very hard to hit those both yellow rocks out of play without running into something, and most likely it's one of the red rocks. So they really got to look at these angles and try to plan out a shot that will work good for them after they're done here.
So 6-time Scotties champion Colleen Jones comes down and offers her input, which is always worth listening to.
And if people are wondering in the background, they're going to see a big sign and a big warning with a hand through it. It's not to scare people, and it's not a serious warning. It's just reminding curlers, especially those taking up the game, because we have so many that we're getting introduced to curling now, and we're just making sure that they don't stand there to watch their shot and put their hand on the ice, as it damages the ice. And we take pride in just having some of the best curling ice around. So that's what those warning labels are in the back of the sheets.
So the call has been made. I think a lot of people might play that the hit on the center line side, but that's where the jam possibility is. So playing a turn that might not have been the first thought for most curlers, but this is to avoid the jam. Is that correct, Jeff?
That's looking like it, yeah. And I imagine we're going to see some weight with this one. So got to be very precise on these angles. Looks like he's on where they want to hit.
That's just a really...
That is a fantastic drilling shot to clear it out. So it was well worth the second look.
Yeah, well thought out and well executed. The team didn't take a timeout, but these teams have been playing fast anyways. They're ahead of every other sheet on the ice. Reminder that the teams have 30 minutes of thinking time and 2 timeouts over 8 ends. And yes, the no-tick rule is in effect. We'll get into that later if it comes up, but essentially if a stone that's thrown in during the free guard zone, the first 5 rocks of an end, if it's touching the center line, it cannot be moved, cannot be ticked aside.
Like they're going to try to do chase the double opportunity here. It's a pretty thin double, but
Riley Powers with her counterclockwise rotation. Luke Saunders trying to keep this on line.
played that with very soft weight, so maybe they're thinking they're trying to get the roll in between there. Trying to get the Christmas tree effect maybe, so it's they went with a little less weight and it just came up on them.
This is a shot you got to be careful with. The jam possibility is there, so Kelly Schaefer.
They'll be looking for just a little broomside roll, but this is gonna have a lot of roll. But it avoids the jam, so terrific shot by Kelly there.
14 teams here competing at the Canadian Mixed Championship, split into a couple of pools of 7, and then the top 4 teams in each pool move on to the championship pool. That will be whittled down to our playoff teams for later in the week. The hit and roll taken on here by Marley Powers. Luke Saunders trying to keep that straight. And called and made. Very nice.
That was fantastic shot, because now they're going to have to move the 2 red stones to be able to bring that yellow in. So that was a fantastic shot to knock it from second to the third shot.
It's like Shaun was considering the come around too, to backing. There's a lot of separation between those 2 stones.
Yeah, the danger is if they come down and make that straight back double, they'll be leaving their stones in a situation for them to double right back. So you might try to generate another opportunity by getting this corner buried on that one.
It's being swept right out of her hands, so clearly TJ and Cress felt that was light. Trying to drag it as far as they can.
The line looks fantastic if they can get it there.
That is just a great sweep.
It's wonderful. Little red face there by Chris. You know, he jumped onto it pretty quick. He'll be complaining about that one.
Won't get a sympathetic ear from his wife, though, will he? No.
Oh, not at all. It'll be kind of a suck it up.
That's your job.
That's what we're here for, yeah.
But it looks like it's about 2/3 exposed, so Paul Flemming will take that on. Doesn't really need to worry about holding his shooter, but he does need to worry about making contact.
He threw a lot of weight on that one and just got a little out of control and threw it a little wide.
So rare miss from this Nova Scotia team so far, and a chance to generate that game-tying deuce, if not more, for Shaun Meachem. He's got 2 rocks left.
Decision time if he wants to split that. Like Kelly's talking about a split or whatever, or a tap back, and I know that out-turn draw to the back red would be very inviting right now. Yeah, I could definitely see that shot coming into play that he'd like to do. But so 2 different ways of doing it, coming down and just tapping the yellow, or coming around with the straight out-turn draw.
That straight out-turn coming around, that brings 3 into play, definitely.
It definitely would make things interesting. So it looks like that's what they're talking about doing right now. So they're figuring out the line, and a little fresh ice there. So that'll get them thinking a little bit. But the foot tracks and everything else down there should have probably cleaned it up to being normal. So they should be able to judge the weight here pretty good.
And again, this is a line, it's a little wider than what Shaun threw in the first end, and certainly wider than he threw in the pregame, but he has been, he should have the weight down this path.
The easiest thing to do here is throw it a little heavy when you see a couple rocks back there at the back, and especially when you're thinking fresh ice. So we'll see if you can control that urge to put a little extra on it and stick it in there. Trying to hold the line. This is looking really good.
Oh, what a shot.
Yes, and he definitely did have the extra weight on that, and but they had to get on that for line, so it worked out fantastic. And now things just got real interesting.
Saskatchewan sitting first, second, and fourth. Well, I made him in a little bold at saying fourth, eh? That might be a little bit of a measure at the back of the house, but certainly first and second. I'm going to say fourth just because.
No, I'm definitely going to agree with you on that one. Well, it is closer. At first look, it looked yellow, but you're right. It is actually very close back there.
But really now, Paul Flemming is in a must-make position here. He's got to essentially play the same shot that Shaun Meachem just played.
Yes, this is a very difficult because he's taking less ice here too. I'm very curious at this call.
That's probably just a veteran. Sorry, go ahead.
No, good. Yeah, because I was going to say he could have run his red quite easily into the yellow and made it a lot tougher for him. But this is a very aggressive call, and boy, is he
gonna get by.
Whoa! Look at this shot. That is fantastic.
So that's just a veteran skip, knowing his release, knowing his ice, what he needed to take, and making the shot. Just a wonderful shot by Paul Flemming.
This is an interesting shot because I don't know if he does get the tap, whether he gets that red rock out of play enough. He could come around and do the same shot and try to chip that red out, and you'd have two for sure.
Or he just draws full four for his two as well.
Yeah, so he believes he can. Yeah, I just think that this is a pretty tough shot to throw that extra weight and control it and have that red rock not jam onto that yellow. So we'll see.
That said, I'm glad he's throwing it just because it's interesting. Draw to the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Shaun saw it right away. He likes this. Like he didn't even look at any other options. So
last shot, fourth end, a chance for a crooked number for Team Saskatchewan.
Starting to take the curl now, so Chris will. Yeah, it looks like they got a pretty good angle on this. It's a lot of weight. That shooter's going to have to stick around. Okay, well, they got the two anyway. Oh, almost, yeah.
Spun back a little, but
yeah.
To the hard way.
To the hard way. We knew that was going to be interesting.
But it looked like it was there.
Yeah,
more if you get a little more of that stone. But anyways, it is a game-tying deuce for Team Saskatchewan. The teams will take a fourth end break. We will too. We'll be back in a few moments here at the Swift Current Curling Club.
The Men of Curling calendar is more than a date provider. Each edition is packed with beautiful images and tons of curling information too. Support curlers and charity by buying yours today at curlingcares.com.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club. It is the fourth end break. Just a quick summary of those first four ends. It was Nova Scotia, who had a long day of travel yesterday, getting into town at 8:30 and then being here in the morning at 8 o'clock for first practice. But they've come out of the gates a little quicker. They stole one in the first end thanks to a wonderful hit and roll by Paul Flemming with his last rock that Shaun Meachem couldn't follow up with a blank attempt. Saskatchewan forced to one in the second end. Then the teams have traded deuces in the next two ends. So it is a tie game after four ends, and we'll be back for the fifth end right after this. Nova Scotia will have last rock.
Swift Current is great because everybody that we do business with, we know on some sort of personal level.
What I love about Swift Current is the vibrant arts and culture community.
I really like Swift Current. We are not a big city, but the size of the city is really good and we have everything.
Swift Current is a great sports town, great teams and great fans.
People say, good morning, hi, how are you, even though we don't know each other.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
The Men of Curling calendar is back for 2024. 18 curling athletes from 4 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club. It is fifth end action here in Draw 1 of the 2023 Canadian Mixed Curling Championship. My name is Al Cameron from Curling Canada, and we are joined today by hometown boy Jeff Chambers here on the broadcast, here on Curling Canada Plus. And Jeff, this is something we like to do at major championship events. I'm going to put you in the position of coach. What would you have said to these two teams during the fourth end break? Let's start with Team Nova Scotia.
Well, Team Nova Scotia, that would have been a pretty easy one. They're playing with such confidence right now, and they're working the ice well. So it would be, as a coaching standpoint, I'd be just telling them, let's just stick to the game plan. We're in a great situation here. We have the hammer tied up, player strategy straightforward, make them come to us, and just continue with the vibe that we have out here, because they seem to be pulling really nice.
I can only really think of one outright miss by Nova Scotia, and that was in that last end by Paul Flemming on his first when he flashed on one. And then let's talk about you. You've previously coached the Saskatchewan team, so I think you'd know exactly what buttons to push during a fourth end break.
Oh, I know exactly what I'd want to say to all those guys right now, for sure, if I was there. And it comes down to they've been making some good call shots. I think they're just trying a little too hard. And it actually just came down to a few uncharacteristic misses by Meachem in the first couple ends there. And I can tell by his body language out there that he's just is a little too into the game. And the most dangerous Shaun Meachem curler is when you see him out there laughing and super relaxed. Then he doesn't miss. And so I'd be just telling loosen up, and then I'd ask Chris to give a bad joke or something and loosen everybody up, because I think they're just all trying too hard, being the home team in the front of the home fans. You can't help but try harder, and we all know, especially from the coaching standpoint, the harder you try, the harder it is. So you've got to let your skills come out and naturally just play the game, and that old cliche of, have fun out there, it's never so true. And if the Saskatchewan team can loosen up a little bit and start having a few more laughs and chuckles out there, you will see an unbelievable team to compete.
So we are underway here in the fifth end. We'll run down the other scores here in Draw 1 at the 2023 Canadian Mix. We can tell you that Jamie Cooey's Northwest Territories team from Yellowknife just stole one in the fourth end after taking 3 in the third, so they will take a 5-2 lead into their fourth end break against Nunavut's team Peter Van Streen. On sheet B, it is Quebec, Team Pierre-Luc Morissette. They are up 4-3 on Team Yukon, skipped by Terry Miller. And over on sheet D, it is a 3-2 lead for Alberta's Team Evan Van Amsterdam out of Edmonton. They are leading 3-2 over Team Cameron de Jong from Victoria, British Columbia. It is BC with the hammer in the fifth. All the scores all the time on curling.ca/scoreboard. And on our sheet, Rocks in play. Although those Red Rocks are counting, they are not in a terrific position if you're Nova Scotia. Behind that tee line, and chance here for Chris Eichert.
Yeah, we've got the guards up, which they wanted, and both Red Rocks just slipping behind. I know they're really close to the button, but just so important to keep them ahead of the tee line, and this allows Chris that opportunity to get one welded in there, and which looks like he's going to, and going to make for an interesting situation. And Paul will want to start clearing some rocks out as soon as he can.
Nice shot there by Chris Eichert to get it in there, but still some room available for Nova Scotia to get into shot position here. Trying to generate that deuce to respond after Saskatchewan tied the game in the fourth end.
Yes, that last end in the fourth, it was a roller coaster ride for both teams. The situations looked great for both of them, and it just changed. It seemed every shot just changed the scenario so much for either team. So it was very entertaining, and definitely something that I was expecting to see out of these two teams with the expertise that's out there. It's pretty awesome to see how you can change around and end so quickly.
So it's busy around that 4-foot pin, but the button is open. We'll see if Chris Eichert can find a way there. Nice little pocket forming behind the button. That's looking pretty tasty.
This one looks like it has the line they were looking for in the first one. That is a great shot to get it in there. Now we're going to get rid of some shrapnel.
Luke Saunders will be called upon to play a double peel here. Luke, of course, got to play in his first Brier last year, playing with team Matthew Manuel of Nova Scotia. They finished out of the playoffs there, but great first-year experience for Luke Saunders in London. And Colleen and the family was there watching him, as you might expect. Let's see if Luke can play this double peel. Not bad. It loosens things up, and they had to get some of those stones released a little bit on the button, did they, Jeff?
Absolutely. No, the situation with those red rocks, even though they're touching 4 foot, we're not helping them there. So they needed to move that thing around and get some space. And now we'll see if, looks like, I was going to say, we're probably going to see some sort of guard, just not sure where in position. So it looks like just tight to the rings. Kelly with her clockwise rotation.
There you go. I'll get you trained up.
Good luck with it, but I'll do my best.
Old habits die hard.
Yes, I'm definitely old school for sure. Terminology.
It might be a little light. Chris and TJ are trying to drag it as far as they can.
Definitely will do the trick, but yeah, they will be able to. I don't like to say easily double peel that, but it's just definitely a high percentage opportunity to double peel this.
Yeah, your easy and my easy sound like two different things here, but Marley Powers can definitely bring the up weight. Luke's trying to keep it on the high side.
Looks really good to me here.
Yeah, very nice. So it still is Saskatchewan sitting a couple, and Nova Scotia with last rock. Looks like the guard was the call, short guard. Basically a repetition of what Kelly just threw.
Yeah, we'll probably see a guard and appeal for the next 2 shots, and then when it comes to the skips last, we'll see what they come up with for as Paul will have to make a move on those stones in the house.
Interesting dynamics on these 2 front ends, isn't it, Jeff? You got a mother and a son on one team and a husband and wife on the other team. And boy, if there's ever front ends that are going to be completely open and honest with each other, you'd think it's these 2.
Yeah, I'm just, I'd like to see the over-under stats on who gets along better, whether son or spouses. That would be a pretty good survey to take.
Colleen, by the way, recently retired from her reporting career at CBC after over 30 years there.
Well, they decided to leave that center guard there and go right after the ones in the ring. So, see how this turns out. Looking pretty good so far.
That's in a good spot.
It's a very good spot because even with the soft weight coming around the tap, it's looking like a solid freeze onto that yellow.
Shaun and Kelly lining things up. That's not going to be an easy rock to remove.
No, he might. Yeah. Definitely a very, very weight sensitive shot here because it is pretty much fully buried. There's not a lot of good places to move that red rock that it won't come in very handy for Paul. So that's why they're taking the extra time, and both of them are going over the different angles here to see where the rocks end up.
Reminder, we'll be back on the air with Draw 2 action at 5:30 Central Standard Time. That is 6:30 p.m. Eastern here at the Canadian Mixed Curling Championship. Then we'll go to the regular draw times for the rest of the week. 10 a.m. Central, 2 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Central. We'll be carrying 3 draws a day here on Curling Canada Plus with our friends at Curling Stadium. All 4 sheets available to be streamed on Curling Canada Plus. Is that going to get by that guard? It will.
It is. There's the straight back, and that's a great shot. So red is sitting shot, so that's going to allow him to make a pretty precise draw in there, but he might want to, he's looking at the draw right now.
Button is still available if Paul can find his way in there. Paul Flemming always has had great draw weight, so my money would be on him to be really close with this one.
Not a lot of room to work with, that is for sure.
Trying to keep this on line, trying to keep the weight on. Will it get by? Just a little light, it looks like. But it is still Nova Scotia with shot rock.
Probably assuming we're going to see this same shot Shaun just played and just trying to tap his a little bit. Oh no, he's going to run that yellow right into the middle of those two stones and
I think there's
two buried there. I like this.
Just chisel it in. I think you're right, Jeff. I think both of those red.
Absolutely, yeah, it's wide open to him there. So he just hits a quarter stone and he's going to be sitting really good after the shot.
Trying to keep it straight is Chris Heikert.
Kelly's hard on the yell.
Very nice.
Good enough, that's for sure.
I believe they are sitting first and second. Marley's going to have a quick look, but yeah, she agrees.
Well, the good news for Paul, he just threw this draw, even though it is a very tight area that he's trying to get into there. He just threw that. The sweepers had a good look at it. So he'll throw this with some confidence, and he'll need it. He's facing two in tight quarters.
Last shot of this fourth end, and it is Saskatchewan sitting two. And Paul Flemming, the Nova Scotia skip, will need a bigger bite of that button in order to score. And regardless of how this shot turns out, Jeff, I think this end has been a win for Saskatchewan. Great halftime speech there, Coach.
Absolutely, absolutely. they could sense it. They're probably there and going, "Oh God," they could sense it coming through the mic.
Colleen and Luke are working hard. Now they're called off. Is he going to go through the hole? He is through the wickets, and it will be a steal of two for Saskatchewan. Just a superb end for Saskatchewan's team, Shaun Meachem, and they will take a 5-3 lead, and it will be Nova Scotia with the hammer when we return for the sixth after this.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
The Men of Curling calendar is more than a date provider. Each edition is packed with beautiful images and tons of curling information too. Support curlers and charity by buying yours today at curlingcares.com.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club. It is the sixth end, and this game has really turned around between Team Nova Scotia and Team Saskatchewan. It was Team Nova Scotia with the early momentum with that early steal of one and the deuce in the third, but since then, The home team, Team Shaun Meachem from right here in Swift Current, has struck back with a deuce in the fourth, a stolen deuce in the fifth. Now Nova Scotia will be trying to get back on track with hammer here in the sixth end.
Yes, that was another end. Lots of great shots, lots of rocks in play, and scenarios changed by the shot. It's just when you thought one team was looking like they had it sewn up, the other team would come in with a great one, and it was just back and forth right to the last rock there. So very interesting situations, and it's been a great game so far.
But we kind of called it early too, Jeff, when we saw those two Nova Scotia stones behind the button early in the end. Yes, they were buried, but in a lot of ways that was advantage for Saskatchewan, and just speaks to the importance of rock placement.
Oh, without question, it was the opportunity to get that yellow rock, which was Chris's, onto those two red rocks to create the second point at the end. And it's just rock placement is so important. And TJ made no mistake here. She put that right on the top button, right buried, and that's just exactly as a skip where you want it to start out.
Colleen Jones throwing her last rock here in this sixth end. And if you talk about accomplished curlers, well, Colleen Jones, the conversation pretty well begins and ends with her in terms of players in this event. 6-time Canadian champion, 2-time world champion, world seniors champion. Won this event on a number of occasions, and just one of the great ambassadors for the sport of curling. Wonderful to see her playing in this 2023 Canadian Mixed Championship.
Yeah, absolute pleasure to have her playing here, and it's her resume is very impressive, and there's a lot of games that have been played by Colleen. So a little bit of miss on Colleen's first one. It was a big overdraw, so I'm not sure if it picked her. She just got it started too early with the ice that they give as they went into a fresh spot out there, but gives the opportunity for Team Saskatchewan to throw the extra guard up there on that beautiful shot that TJ threw in there on her second shot.
This is a big end for Saskatchewan. Based on the scoreboard, sixth end, they need to generate something in this end because our man Jerry Gertz behind the scene, he'd be able to tell you all the math that indicates why this end is important if Nova Scotia has aspirations of winning this game. It's they must score in 2 or more.
Yeah, Green, that's good at least. Oh, get all this other stuff out of the way, and then it's only the one event I have to worry about.
Trying to get through that port
right now.
Going to be a raise. Very nice, though.
And then I thought Leduc was starting again, and they didn't start till 4. So I was rushing through that stuff on there. And
looks like Shaun wants to get rid of that corner guard and turn it into a center guard so it can help them out here. So that's what he's going to be asking Chris right now. Just a light hit and roll over. That was an unfortunate run back.
Boy, you could try that a number of times and you wouldn't be able to do that exactly the same way.
Yeah, whenever you try to call that straight back run, it just never seems to work that great. But this is an aggressive call here by Paul. Instead of trying to take out those yellow guards, he's thinking about taking his red one back. And now they're going to call a timeout. Discuss this one a little bit because there's a few different situations here by playing that kind of aggressive shot.
Well, Coach, what do you like?
Well, you know what? I would probably be telling them right now that they don't need to make that kind of risk because if they do go after that red and they just miss it, then all of a sudden now yellow has a chance to come in and hit 2 on them. Whereas if they double peel those yellows, they might even get lucky and that yellow come back and move that one off the 4 foot. but at least leave your red one out there in case you need it later, and hopefully get a double peel of the yellows. So I'm pretty sure I'd be favoring the double peel right now. Now, that being said, if they go down there and hit 3/4 of that rock and bury that, they're sitting really good. So I mean, there's risk reward, and that's Paul decided not to take that on himself. He decided to include the whole team on the decision, and looks like the whole team's ready to gamble a bit. This one will have everyone watching real closely.
Big opportunity here for Nova Scotia. Luke Saunders. Chance to potentially sit two. Colleen's trying to get that to move over just a bit. Thought it might come off the back of that short guard again, but no. But
there's the danger of playing that shot, and now it allows Meachem to come in and sit two buried.
I think there probably would have been something to be said there to even play that shot with a little less weight to hold the shooter in the rings too. Even if you miss it, you at least get the shooter into the rings.
Yeah, I am a little surprised at the weight that they had because, as we also know, if you bring the weight down, you actually bring the sweepers into play a little bit more. They have the ability to maybe move the rock just that little bit more with down weight, but when it's up, it's really hard to get that rock to curl. Oh boy, it looks like Kelly threw that one a little wide again, which she did earlier on, but late finish, and Chris is going to do his best to get it over there.
A little carve job here by Chris.
Definitely wanted to get that one buried. So looks like she was a little full to that broom again, and maybe something on that counterclockwise turn that she's got going on today that they're going to have to keep track of.
So you can see just about edge on edge, I think. See what they can do with this.
I think they can get that through and hit enough of that yellow stone that it should go behind their red. They're going to hit whatever they can see, that's for sure. They're going to try to. Luke is hammering this to hold. Looks like it's going to curl too much on them, so little missed opportunity there. So Shaun can't run fast enough to get that broom up there to guard those up now. So let's see if Kelly can slide out and get that alignment. So edge of the 8, so they're expecting it. Should be great ice, and just need a nice clean release here. They're watching this a long time. Again, you could see it was outside the 8-foot line again, so she definitely give a little pop at the end, but looks like they're going to try to get it over there. Looks like she's pulling off a great shot. There we go. Well, I was asking to get some granite removed here, so let's see if Marley can pick her weight up a little bit here and see if she can move some stones. Okay, remove the one guard, and now it's just time to try to replace that guard, and then Paul will have a crack at it.
This end is shaping up nicely in Saskatchewan's favor, and we talked about it's the second half of this game. The middle ends have belonged to Saskatchewan, taking advantage of some bare misses by Nova Scotia.
This guard's a little higher, which they're going to like to see. Makes the run back a little tougher. Might overcurl just a hair. Still will do the trick, though. He won't be able to get rid of both of those yellow rocks coming around. But he can move them around and move that yellow back a bit and leave his red in front. So we'll probably see. I'm not sure what kind of weight he's going to want to throw at this. Maybe about bumper weight, maybe.
Got to give himself something for his last stone. That's the crucial element here. He's got to make something move here.
Yes, Team Saskatchewan's sitting pretty good right now, but as we've seen throughout this game, we never take anything for granted because you're one shot away from the end totally changing. So let's see if Paul can pull off a really big shot at a crucial time here. The sweep's on early, so that's normally not a good sign. Oh, no, he got off, so that's a good sign. There you go. I was just thinking, oh my God. So Luke obviously leaned on that thing. And
Well,
now, decision time. You're trying to put your rock into place. You've got two dangerous red rocks sitting over there in the 8-foot. So if you don't get your yellow rock in a good spot here, that brings in a big end. So
sure does.
Shaun's going to try to Christmas tree this one a little bit with his yellow rocks and hope to leave Paul with a tough choice on his last one.
When you talk about momentum swings, Jeff, we'll just tell you quickly that none of it has scored 4 in the 5th end, and they have now a 6-5 lead on the Northwest Territories over on Sheet C. That's an upset in the making over there.
That is a battle. It's great to see that kind of thing. The fans will be loving the momentum swings for sure. It gets everybody talking. So it's great to see a lot of grit over there. All right, they're not touching this so far. It's got a long way to curl.
Chris is trying to carve this in. Is that going to get it by the guard, though?
Oh, boy, they're going to want to make sure this sits. Oh, boy.
Talk about a momentum swing in this end. All Saskatchewan, but now, suddenly, Paul Flemming has a shot at 3.
Again, things can change so much. It's so important to get those rocks into the right spot. And they've been just having a little bit of problems, Team Saskatchewan, taking a little bit too much ice and just thinking that there's going to be a lot more movement, and it's just the movement's so late out here on this ice that they just haven't accounted for that yet.
Final rock here in the 6th end. Paul Flemming, the Nova Scotia skip, with a chance at 3 that literally came out of thin air.
This is a big, big shot. This could be a 4-point swing here. Got a curl by the looks of it. They like it. They like it.
For fun. There it is. A 3-ender for Nova Scotia. And they take a 6-5 lead through 6 ends. It will be Saskatchewan with last rock when we come back right after this.
I've been raised on the farm since day one, so I was born into it. My grandfather came in here in 1905. I want to continue the farm for him and generations to come. So
I think it's a privilege that we get to be here. It's just a wonderful way of life.
You know, what job is there that you can go to work with your dad and brother, with your kids by your side? Doesn't get much better than that.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club, where Nova Scotia team Paul Flemming from Halifax has turned this game around with a big 3 in the 6th end, and they will have a 6-5 lead here in the 7th. Saskatchewan with hammer, but in terms of analytics, and we can tell you that a 1-point lead after 6 ends in an 8-end game certainly mathematically improves Nova Scotia's chance at winning. And Jeff Chambers, I think it's important that Saskatchewan bounce back in this end and finish an end strong as well, like they did in the previous couple ends.
Absolutely. It was, they had a great end. It went the way they wanted right till the last shot. And it was just unfortunate that Shaun either threw it a bit outside or they just had too much ice for the shot. And when they racked on the guard and rolled over, it gave a big opportunity for Paul. And that was no gimme shot. That was no kick-in either. Paul earned that three-ender for sure with a great final shot. But it'll be a little disappointing for sure for Team Saskatchewan as they let that one slip away. Now we see Paul throwing up a double guard, so he wants to be very aggressive on this steal. And pretty sure Shaun, he's going to go to the middle on this one. He had options to go around the corner middle, but I guess he wants to be first into the middle as he knows that Paul will be heading there for his.
TJ Heikert looking to get behind those two Nova Scotia guards.
TJ's been really strong in her rock placement so far. She's been able to set up the ends very nicely. This one is just come up a little bit too much on her, so she won't be too happy with that one. But still, it's out front. It's in the safeguard zone, so we're going to see some action this end.
TJ and Chris, by the way, also former champions at this event. They won in 2015 with someone I'm sure you know pretty well, Max Kirkpatrick, and they played in the World Championship in 2016.
Oh, the tick rule. There we go.
Aha!
That, I missed that one, so there we go. Looks like the officials are on track there. So,
it was an unintentional tick, but a tick nonetheless.
Yeah, I guess that also the teams, not sure how used to the tick rule the teams are for playing, but that could definitely change a call in that situation where it's a lot more high risk trying to tuck around one of those guards that you're not allowed to touch. So Shaun might have changed his mind there and gone behind the corner instead just because of that new rule. That allows Luke to attempt the draw behind and get that rock in position on the top button, but he's going to come a little short.
And that's a big opportunity here for Saskatchewan to get one and use that corner guard.
Yes, it is. So they can get two objectives out of the way, getting rid of a red rock and getting a roll behind cover. So let's hope Chris get a good one here. They're holding it. They like the line so far. Looks like they're going to get the roll. And maybe a little too much roll. It still does the trick. It keeps the rock in play, and something that Paul will have to go after. But looks like they might have needed to sharpen up the communication there just a little bit more to allow that rock to curl in there for a less of a roll.
Luke Saunders will try and make it go away. I don't think he's going to hold the shooter. Might just hang on. Nope, good sweeping there by Shaun Meachem. Mentioned that 2015 team that won the Canadian Mixed and then went on to the World Mixed in Bern, Switzerland. Max Kirkpatrick, Jolene Campbell was the vice skip on that team, and Chris and TJ were second and lead respectively. They made it to the quarterfinals at the World Mixed, lost to Russia in the round of 8. That looks a little warm. Might get the little tickle off that corner. Settle down, just nestling into the 12-foot circle. But shot stone, but Paul Flemming will ignore it and ask Marley Powers to get one behind those center guards somewhere in that top 4.
Yes, that was a pretty good year when they won the Canadian Mix. That was a big deal for our club. Max is well known around our area for curling. He's thrown a lot of stones. I curled with him for many years. Actually, I curled with Max and Shaun Meachem. We were a team for quite a few years together. And that was the year that we actually got our ice in earlier than ever so that they could have a practice surface to practice on. So
nice.
It definitely benefited us for sure.
Well, I was thinking the last time I was in this club, Jeff, there wasn't any ice down, but there was a live party going on the 2016 World Women's Championship when the patch was put here into the Swift Current Curling Club. My memories of it are hazy, but I was just in here for research purposes. So.
Well, we did our job. 2010 and 2016, we held the World Women's, and my role actually at that time was I ran the patch. So. I was the chairperson for the big party, and let me tell you, it was a party, and the biggest party goer or the biggest memory of that was the Kelly Schaefer, as Kelly Wood before that, managed to meet her husband Jared in the patch. So it was pretty wild times there in 2010, and we're pretty happy that Jared caught Kelly's eye, so now we have Kelly to ourselves.
And you just saw the shot that Kelly made, dead buried, top 4. Wonderful piece of curling there from Kelly Schaefer.
Yeah, no, she's thrown a lot of those shots in the past, and she will continue to do so, and very competitive curler, and like I said, Saskatchewan's very happy to have her now, and we're ecstatic to have her in Swift Current here. This looks like a tremendous shot as well.
Just a little warm, but they had to sweep it to get it by. Is it? Shaun's taking a close look.
He believes it's yellow, but there's not a lot of room left on this sheet to be working around in that 4-foot area. So this will be a very tough multiple point end for Team Meachem here. So, and that's favoring Paul because he doesn't mind seeing a 1 point go either way here, whether it be a steal or a force. So Paul likes the fact that a lot of rocks are in play, especially red ones out front.
It's going to just wreck on that guard.
Oh, that's going to make it a little interesting. Paul's pretty excited to see what he has here.
I think he's got to be careful with it. I don't know that he takes on the double because, well, he's going to take it on. I just wonder if it jams on anything, but.
Yeah, I think if he hugs those red guards, because it'll be coming in on an angle, so he'll actually just be missing both of them. But there's a fair bit of room there. He'll be pretty confident with this if he throws a nice controlled weight. He'll be able to get this to move enough to be able to get in there, and that will definitely change this end up really fast.
Paul Flemming, his first shot in the 7th end.
No, he got that out wide.
It does jam, but it's still, it's a tricky deuce for Saskatchewan here. And we're assuming that Saskatchewan has shot rock. But is the double there now for?
Well, Shaun's looking at that double for sure. If he hits that back one thick enough, it should go over the top of the yellow, but he'll definitely want to get it moving off of the forefoot. And then he should be able to hold his shooter with this one as well. It'll roll over behind that guard, but he can pull this one off. That would be a big swing, and we've seen that all game. It looks just fantastic for one team, and you think they've got it sewn up, and just we're one shot away from things totally changing into the other team's favor. So this has been one of those situations. So hopefully we can get a big shot from Meachem here, and that'll definitely put a smile on his face if he can pull this one off.
Shaun Meachem, his first shot here in the 7th end. Taking on the double takeout. Oh, it just jams.
Yeah, he just got that a little wide on his release again. Struggling with the release a little bit with the broom today. And that one he just got that started. He's not happy with himself at all right now, and he'll work that out though. And
so if you're Paul Flemming, what do you like here?
Wow, he might be just looking at just guarding up that hole, or he might just go real aggressive and try to bury that one right on the red. But the danger of coming in is what we saw with Kelly's. If it's a little rub and you set up a double, then all of a sudden you lose a big multi-point end. Where if he just put the guard up here, that would leave a long angle raise for Shaun and low percentage shot, but it's there, so you can't take away everything.
Yeah, I feel like they're okay leaving him that. I think the guard was the call.
Yeah, he just wants to play this one safe.
Look
and then
out, though. This might overcurl a bit, though.
Definitely overcurled enough to get to that rock. Boy, and if they get the tick just enough with that red.
Yes, I was seeing that too.
How about a hack weight double here?
For 3.
would be a big game changer, correct? Yeah, so imagine he's only going to be throwing hack at this just because he just needs to control that angle and
be very similar to the way that 3 came out of nowhere last end if Shaun Meachem can play this shot.
Looks so similar. Just everybody thinks the guards are so easy to show, but they are so far from that.
Last shot, 7th end.
Oh, nice clean. TJ should be ready to do the curl here. Come on, Teach. I think they needed to lean on that earlier. A missed opportunity there.
And it will be just a single point for Saskatchewan, and it'll be a tie game, but it'll be Nova Scotia that has the hammer for the 8th end when we come back right after this.
We're for agriculture, for growers, doers, whatever it takers. We're for doing things with purpose. We're for the little guy with big guy dreams. We're for agriculture. We're for you. Nutrien Ag Solutions, leading the field.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
The Men of Curling calendar is back for 2024. 18 curling athletes from 4 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
Welcome back to the Swift Current Curling Club. It is the 8th and final end, barring something weird, of this afternoon's Draw 1 game. My name is Al Cameron, joined by Jeff Chambers, as we see Team Saskatchewan looking for a way to steal a winning point. But it is Nova Scotia with the hammer in a tie game. This is the classic scenario. Steal or score. How does Saskatchewan do it, Jeff?
Well, the first thing is first. It's getting 2 guards on that center line, using the tick rule to their advantage, which actually hurt Team Saskatchewan in the last end. So they're going to try to do the same exact thing here and get those 2 guards on. TJ's had her weight and her line really good this game, so she threw the high guard up first, and now she's going to throw one a little bit tighter. And the biggest key here is the align. They got to get it touching that line so that they can make sure they can use that rock, so it can't be removed or touched. So Kelly's really working on this right now.
That'll get the job done. Very nice.
And that will get the job done is right. That was a good hard sweep there at the end by Kelly.
So Colleen Jones try and get another rock in there.
And now it's just going to be about a little bit of about a chess match. Team Saskatchewan is just going to work on getting their rocks into a good position above the tee line, and probably we're going to see some minor tap backs of the reds. They might just straight freeze right now, or a slight tap back there. You can see the sign that Shaun thinks they can get to the inside with a little tap. So with the way it curls at the end, and just get those red rocks behind the 4-foot.
Tickert now. Trying to get it by those guards, though. Kelly's really going to have to work hard. By the
really
top
moving.
one. No.
First one, and gonna rock on that second one. So, guess there should be a rule you can't even move your own on the tick rule. Put it back.
Paul Flemming will race up and make the call for Luke Saunders to move that high center guard.
Yeah, I think that was just a factor that Chris was a little light on that weight call getting it in there, and it really took the turn, and with the late finish, it really hooked in there. So now they're just going to have to be patient, put some guards up, and at some point, right now, Meachem is just going to hope for a jam along the way. There's a lot of rocks to run into, so that goes in their favor. So we'll see if Chris can get a nice higher guard up here to see if they can create an opportunity for a jam.
Still okay. I mean, lots of yellow up front to be used.
Absolutely, and like I was saying, it's in such a good spot that it's very rare that this rock's going to move without something else getting hit. And yes, it's probably going to be a yellow, but that leaves opportunity for jams, and you just, the more rocks around, the better it is for Team Saskatchewan, and vice versa. It's Nova Scotia wants to get rid of some granite. The less they see, the better.
Like that.
Like that. There's nothing more you want to see than that. Luke was very confident. He had a good slide. He was following it down. He was very confident in that throw, and he nailed that. So just back to patience, and we'll keep seeing the guard come up, and then yeah, you're just hoping for a miss from the other team, and then you try to come up with something in your last couple of shots that puts some pressure on Paul. Looks like it's going to be in good position here. Can't see Paul wasting much time getting up there and figuring out how he wants to get rid of that rock.
Jeff, we can tell you we've got a first final on the ice. It is Quebec taking 4 in the 7th end, and they will record an 8-4 win over the Yukon. 8-4 final for Quebec.
Well, they're off to a great start of the event, and I don't think that shocked anybody here. Such strong teams coming out of Quebec, and their record speaks for itself.
Might get the double. Very nice throw by Marley Powers.
Now it starts looking a little bleak, but you still got to be patient. They're going to be trying to throw a very tight guard right in between those two red rocks. No, looking like they're going to come in for the freeze now instead.
Yeah, I think the corner freeze was the call there.
A lot of local fans watching intensely back there, and a lot of them are doing their praying techniques right now.
Pretty good. But Paul, and I'm sure you'd agree, Jeff, wouldn't mind losing one of his redstones along the way with this. Marley Powers. Anything but the jam is what they're saying here, I think.
Yeah. Ooh, that worked out pretty good for them, actually. That's to corner freeze that is, yeah, well, it's so low percentage, so
yep.
They're gonna have. I think I like Shaun's call here, where it's just like we got to be patient one more time. Pop a yellow one back just a little bit, and then count on their last shots. Just try to create a wall with the red ones and see if you can create a shot for yourself for the last one.
Definitely is cross your fingers territory here for Team Saskatchewan. 6-6 tie. Nova Scotia with last rock here in this 8th and final end. TJ trying to hold the line here. TJ Heikert. May have overcooked it a little.
Might have overcalled it. I think it's too much weight is what happened there.
Not a bad lead.
But they just wanted to just have that back button, even mostly back four, because you're running out of rocks to use. But the good news is they did roll behind that guard, so any rock that's in place, so it'll make Paul think here. And he knows he's going to have to put it in a good spot, because he knows there's one shot for Shaun, and that's going to be coming down with a freeze on that red one, and he wants to make sure that he can blast freely and have his rock as the counter. So that's the plan right now, and so he's just going to put it over to the side and make sure it's second shot. It's very important that this is second shot.
First shot of this 8th end for Paul Flemming is on its way. They're not touching this. And they didn't need to, as it turned out.
No, it leaves one shot. Yeah, they're going to call timeout, make sure everybody gets settled, but the shot is definitely going to be that freeze on that stone, and that'll force Paul, if it's a perfect freeze, it'll force Paul into a very tough decision, because that'll be very hard to remove without disrupting the other rocks. So he might have to draw to the button for his last one. So they're going to have a good talk about the ice, make sure they know exactly where to put it, but they definitely have an opportunity.
And as they talk it out, we'll just give you a quick update on the other games on the ice. Both are also in the 8th end. It is Northwest Territories now in an 8-6 lead over Nunavut. Nunavut has Hammer in the 8th end. And Alberta with a 6-4 lead. They just stole 2 in the 7th end. So they are up 6-4 on BC. A reminder, you can get all the scores all the time on curling.ca/scoreboard. And of course, you can watch those other 2 games streamed on Curling Canada Plus. That's plus.curling.ca, which you already knew if you were watching this. So. But those 2 games will be available for streaming once our game is concluded. And a reminder, we will be back on the air with Draw 2 action at the 2023 Canadian Mixed from here in Swift Current. 5:30 p.m. Central, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific from here at the Swift Current Curling Club. So just a matter, I guess, Jeff, of Kelly and Shaun making sure they're on the same page in terms of line, weight, final position.
Absolutely. This is a crucial shot. When they say this game's down to inches, it's going to be less than that here. So this has to be, well, you want this to be absolutely welded to that to rock and to be shot, and that would be just an amazing way to finish this game, watching Paul deal with that situation. So I think everybody's, you can probably hear a pin drop out there right now. I think he's pretty happy with the release. Just on it earlier. This is the side that curls more than the other. It was really swooping in there on a few rocks. So it looks like your line should be pretty good. Let's just hope the weight is just there.
That is an outstanding curling shot.
That is pretty special. If it could have just come up a hair, it leaves quite a bit of room for Paul to knock that out, but that was a valiant effort there.
Boy, you're a demanding curling coach, Jeff. Oh.
I am, but you know what? If you're going to win the big games, you got to make those big shots.
Very true. So now Paul Flemming will have a shot for the win. And a great start to this 2023 Canadian Mixed.
Yeah. He'll have a little bit of speed with this, but it'll be definitely within his control. This is a shot that won't scare him.
Well, they're working this hard. It's got to hit on the high side. Looks like it will do that. And there it is. It will be a score of 2 for Nova Scotia. And it will be an 8-6 win for Team Paul Flemming from Halifax over Team Saskatchewan. Jeff, your final thoughts on today's game?
Well, just like we said, it was going to be a great matchup, and it was a back-and-forth game right from the first end right to the very last shot. So fun to watch, and I just look forward to my Team Saskatchewan sharpening up just a little bit on some of their throws, and should be a great week.
All right, Jeff, warm up that car. Get down here to the curling club for your MC duties for the opening ceremony for the 2023 Canadian Mix. We urge you, if you're in Swift Current, to come on down and join us. And a reminder, we will be back on the air for Draw 2 action, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, here at the 2023 Canadian Mix Curling Championship in Swift Current. For Jeff Chambers, this is Al Cameron saying so long from Swift Current.
Swift Current is great because everybody that we do business with, we know on some sort of personal level.
What I love about Swift Current is the vibrant arts and culture community.
I really like Swift Current. We are not a big city, but the size of the city is really good, and we have everything.
Swift Current is a great sports town, great teams and great fans.
People say, good morning, hi, how are you, even though we don't know each other.
The Men of Curling calendar is back for 2024. 18 curling athletes from 4 different nations are raising money for various charities. Support them by purchasing yours today at curlingcares.com.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.